Don't miss the inaugural All-American Cup Team Tennis Tournament, presented by Thomas J. Henry, at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas, November 11 through 13. The All-American Cup features 10 top men's U.S. players competing on 2 teams, East versus West, each captained by the greatest tennis doubles team of all time, Mike and Bob Bryan. You don't want to miss this. Brother versus brother, East versus West, best versus best. Tickets on sale now at allamericantenniscup.com.
Pickle! Hit the air raid sign. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, of course, when we overreact to the football weekend. A lot to overreact to.
A fun round.
Hold on, I'm going to tweet out that we're talking 6-man football. Because we are. Because we got Don Kofel coming up. A lot to overreact to from the first round of the playoffs. Start my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, a standard level of chaos. So, last year, I feel like we were sitting here doing this very segment. Talking about what a wild by-district round of the playoffs it was.
Yeah, there were some big old landmines.
On and on about, man, everywhere you looked, it was just chaotic. As I sat and on Friday and I kind of overlooked the Texas high school football landscape, my overall thought was like, yeah, that's about normal. Now, that's not to say that it was predictable, okay? Because I think you had a fair amount of maybe not stunners, but at the very least, you had a fair amount of games that were really surprising. I believe we ended up having 12 4 seeds beat 1 seeds. So those, like, by themselves, district champions losing the first round of the playoffs. You had stunners that I would consider. Spearman beat Abernathy in the first round of the playoffs. That's a stunner.
Yep.
Right? Wallace Brazos beat Lexington.
Yep.
That's a stunner. That's a team that Matt Stepp picked to win the region.
Big Spring beating El Paso Riverside.
Big Spring over El Paso Riverside, right? You had those. You also, and I think this is important to characterize this as well, you also had a good number of near misses. Okay? There were a number of contenders that were in dogfights that pulled it out. South Oak Cliff against Mansfield Summit.
Yeah, what was that, 10-7?
Finished 12-7, yeah.
12-7.
And they were down. They were down at halftime. That was on our radar and sirens going off. Cuero needed overtime to beat Salado. Shout out to the Eagles of Salado who gave them everything they wanted. Cuero survives and advances, right? They don't ask you how, they ask you how many, especially this time of year. Highland Park was knotted up 28-all at halftime of their game against Richardson Berkner, maybe?
I think, yes. Which now they have Geyer on the agenda.
You had a fair number of not only the upsets, but also the what could have been.
The other side of the chaos that I really like that I think differs from last year is if you have been locked into Texas high school football, some of the brand names like Allen and Denton Ryan going down might not have been the most surprising thing. But if you haven't been locked in and you're used to those, like I had a friend of mine who follows but not very heavy. And
we had a lot of casuals checking in right now.
Oh my God, Denton Ryan lost. What happened? And I was like, I would be lying to you if I said that wasn't the most surprising thing in the world. Like,
yeah, I think I picked Ryan, but
yeah, I felt like it was a coin flip
game.
But when you come in and you see the brand names like Allen and Denton Ryan, everyone's like, oh my God.
I tweeted this, but Allen, Denton Ryan, and Euless Trinity all do not win a playoff game. First time that's happened since 1999 that all of them didn't win a playoff game. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Is that like there were a fair number of blue bloods that bit the dust.
Yep.
Right. We also did have a defending state champ go down, although I would not categorize it as an upset with Lorena losing to Columbus. I would say that is about right. It's a close game. Columbus wins.
Yeah, Lorena's very young, but they still had a good team.
Yeah, exactly. But we did lose another state champion. But the rest of the state, I thought, was overall relatively chalky. So that's why I would categorize the first round of the playoffs as a standard level of chaos. Thought number 2, Lone Star Bell Curve. I don't know why this caught my eye yesterday, but I was looking through and I was just looking through the standings of college football because I know how to party. Looking through the standings. I'm not talking about rankings. I'm talking about like the actual conference standings. And something struck me. So there are 12 FBS teams in the state of Texas, soon to be 13.
Fact.
Of those 12, 8 of them are between 4-6 and 6-4.
Jeez.
8 of them. And what's so interesting, here's the thing. You've got, I think this is a perfect encapsulation of what we've seen in Texas college football this year. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect bell curve. Okay? You have 2 teams that I think everyone would categorize as pretty good. We can talk about whether they're elite or not, but they're pretty good. They have a great chance to win their conference. TCU and UTSA. Mm-hmm. Right? Pretty good. You also have 2 teams that I think people would categorize as having a rough one. A&M and Texas State. Right? You have these two like tails. And then you have the 8 teams up here right in the big middle. And what does that say about the state of college football in the state of in Texas? I think that there's a lot of cannibalism going on, right? TCU beats Texas, so that drops Texas out of into the 6-4 range, right?
Right.
So there certainly that matters. But I think what that really tells us is that this is more or less the way that college football in the state of Texas on an average year is going to look. Now, hopefully there will be some with realignment, there will be some movement that will have maybe 3 teams up near the top or 4 teams up near the top.
Well, yeah, because at that point you're adding more conferences.
And they are in different conferences, right? There's no reason it has to be this way. Mm-hmm. But I do think that this is kind of a standard way. Mm-hmm. We've had years where there's just a lot of bad football. Maybe there's only one great team. We've had a couple years where we've had 3 or 4 contenders.
Right.
But this is, right now in college football, 10 weeks in, I think it's fair to say that we just have a perfect bell curve as far as college football is concerned.
Yeah, that feels right. I was going to say, that we're adding a conference, but I guess we're really not because A&M is already in the SEC, so those 2 are just moving over. But it'll
still be the same
Conference
number
USA,
of conferences. Still be the same number of conferences, 5 conferences. It'll be SEC, Big 12, AAC, Conference USA, and Sun Belt. Yeah. But we're going to shift some things around. And thought number 3, wheat and chaff. There are some complainers out there who like to, every year, they come out of the woodwork and talk about how too many teams make the playoffs. Every year, it's the same tweets from the same people. And it's just, I've just muted them all on Twitter. But now, if you are not ready to lock in on high school football, then you just probably were never ready to lock in on high school football because we're down to, I would say that we have eliminated almost all of the chaff. Now, do I think that every team left can win a state championship? No, I do not. But as far as those teams that people like to complain make the playoffs, almost all of them are gone, and the ones that are left beat a good team in round 1. So we have separated the so-called wheat from the so-called chaff.
Well, and I always think, I almost responded to someone on Twitter the other day, and I was like, it's not worth it. But the biggest one...
Hard correct.
It's just not worth it. But, the biggest example that I can give is we've talked so much about District 10 5A Division 1, where Richmond Foster was like a 7-4 team, and they missed the playoffs. For every bad district, there's a district like that where someone's getting left out with a really good record. Also, anyone who complains about more football just does not compute in my brain.
Not friends. I mean, we did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
You said we had
6,
12
7, 8,
4
9,
seeds
10,
beat
11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
one
16, 17,
seeds.
18, 19. We had 19 districts that swept through the first round of the playoffs. 10 5A Division 1 is a perfect example of that, which means you had 4 seeds that won playoff games.
Yep.
Now, there's 6-man, or there's a couple 6-man districts, there's not all.
Right.
All that's to say, whatever you're complaining, that complaining time's over.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we're into the nitty-gritty. Those are 3 big thoughts. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker to Louisville quarterback Ethan Terrell, who was excellent in their win over Allen. 54 yards and a touchdown passing, 164 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. They did not have an answer for him. And the Fighting Farmers defend home field there at Max Goldsmith Stadium.
Let's go.
A helmet sticker to UTSA running back Kavorian Barnes. This kid has really emerged as a real game changer, and I think in many respects the lead back for this UTSA team. He ran 11 times for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns in their big win, their romp over Louisiana Tech. And yeah, Kavorian Barnes doing work, the pride of St. Augustine, Texas. And a helmet sticker to Clarendon running back Jamari Davis. I tweeted this last night, but I think it's interesting that Clarendon has just decided to make the plane out of Jamari Davis in the playoffs. The Texas Tech commit ran 15 times for 275 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. 3 teams to watch. Big Spring. A perfect example of a 4 over a 1. And a team that I think is peaking at the right time, playing really good football, and came up with an incredible play. Cannon McWilliams, their coach, first of all name team. But Cannon McWilliams tweeted what was the game-winning touchdown. Go find it on Twitter. I'll try to retweet it. An incredible individual effort to pull off the stunning win. But keep it on Big Spring. They're a team to keep to watch. I cheated here. Yeah. Mary Hardin Baylor, Trinity, and Hardin Simmons. If you were sleeping this weekend, which, hey, respect, the Division III NCAA bracket came out. And the state of Texas has, for the first time since 2011, 3 teams in the NCAA Division III bracket. Mary Hardin Baylor, Trinity, and Hardin Simmons. Mary Hardin Baylor won the ASC, so they got an automatic bid. They host Huntington at noon on Saturday. Then Trinity repeated as champions of the SAA, and they will go and, believe it or not, they get to host Hardin Simmons. So we'll get Hardin Simmons and Trinity in the first round of the playoffs, which will be a lot of fun.
How cool is that?
And finally, Lake Travis. So this was the big game on Bally Sports Southwest.
Yeah, they figured it out.
I talked a lot about this on the show, but I want to reiterate. There's going to be a lot of talk about who wasn't playing in this game, because Mason Cochran, the quarterback for Round Rock, did not play, or at least they tried to play him, and he was. I was watching on a television screen. He was visibly struggling, visibly hurt. So they were turning to a backup quarterback. But I thought Lake Travis really took it to him, and I thought it was a coaching masterclass from Hank Carter in the second half. They started grinding it out on the ground. Their quarterback, Caden Leone, stepped up in a big way. Sam Self's a big target on the outside, and their defense locked them down. And Lake Travis, they go into Cibolo Steel this week, and it's going to be a tough game, but Lake Travis has got to be brimming with confidence at the moment. 3 to see, South Oak Cliff and Lovejoy. Anxiety Bowl.
Live on Texan Live.
Is that right?
Sneak peek for you.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
We grabbed that
Saturday.
one. Saturday. 3 o'clock.
Anxiety Bowl. I'll talk about it on the picks this week. Anxiety Bowl for both these teams. TCU and Baylor. I think this is TCU's last real hurdle. I want to say they close against Iowa State. This is their last real hurdle. And if they go and they beat Baylor on the road against a team that would love nothing more than to ruin their season.
That's a good rivalry.
So we'll find out. And then how about this? Anna and Stephenville.
Live on Texan Live.
Oh, really? I have not seen the Texan Live
I'm putting
schedule.
in work this week, boy.
Anna and Stephenville on Texan Live. That game is going to be certified. It's going to be really good. 2 big offenses. Who comes up with stops? It'll be a lot of fun. That's 3 to see. That's Monday Morning Fallout.